episode 6 of this free course, How to Email College Baseball Coaches. So the agenda is following up and tracking these emails. Follow-ups, 90% of high school baseball players just simply never do this because they never take the initiative, number one, to really reach out to these college coaches, but then they feel like they're pushing too much by emailing these college coaches consistently. So what are the different types of follow-ups? Well, we can provide value. We can give a college coach a metric update on how the past couple of months have gone. Maybe we've gone to a showcase, we've gotten new data, so that way we want to share with these college baseball coaches. Maybe we're going to an event. There's other ways, and of course, there's too many to really list. But one thing that I want to really hit on for you guys is the 10-day rule, right? So when we have that initial email to these college coaches, we want to follow up if they've taken action within within 10 days. And the reason for that is because our name is still fresh in these college baseball coaches' mind. The wrong way to do this is following up 2 days after, and then 10 days after, and then 20 days later, because that's going to be very pushy, and sometimes you can rub these college baseball coaches the wrong way, right? So we never want to do that. We also want to follow up after events. We also want to be sending emails before events, so that way it's a little bit more of a spin wheel of how well we're communicating with these college coaches, and it's not just we're sending out one email and hoping for the best and never following up with these coaches that we've developed some level of a connection with through a specific event. Now, as far as tracking, I'll give you guys a little bit of a glimpse of what our tracking system looks like, again, inside the Triple Play system. This is where we're able to really gauge the interest, the open rates, the click rates, the reply rates. At the end of the day, the opportunities that either you or your son are leaving on the table by not knowing any of this data. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough of what our tracking system looks like. So this is, I'm not going to just show you a finished example. That one looks all pretty because I sorted it. But let me pull up so this is one of my students, right? He did the volume, and what you'll see is this status over here, right? And this is going to be basically giving us clicked on, 11:05 at 11:18. This is all basically in real time, by the way. So this is one of my students, and he sent out these emails on, ideally probably the 5th. He's sent batch 2 on the 6th, batch 3 on the 7th. So he's pretty persistent, right? And that's where he's been able to craft basically a secondary list of schools to follow up with, right? The cool thing about all these batches, and some of them aren't 20 schools in length, but for example, like this one, we get a response from Coppin State. We have an email clicked. So these are all people that have engaged with our emails. These are people that never even opened it, right? So what can we do with those people? We can just reattempt the same email in our next batch. Ideally, we want to send it maybe a week later. We don't want to do a next batch like the next day. So these are people that have clicked on, again, I'll kind of share with you kind of what we're clicking on, because it doesn't mean just opening up the email. It means clicking here, clicking here, clicking here on Instagram, right? That's what that click means, right? Email clicked, that's what that means. Email bounced, well, guess what? Coach Holm never even had the opportunity to to open up this email. Why? Because it got bounced. It was the wrong email address. When people say, like, what is the wrong email address? It could have been just that typed in .edu, right? That's not a real email address. Think about if you're calling up, someone and you type in the wrong phone number, it's not going to hit the right person, right? So that's that. Now, email opened. What does that mean, right? Well, that means they opened the email right here, but they never took any type of action. So that is the exact strategic reason why we need to have that profile picture at the very bottom, because again, we're trying to create this perfect scenario of how these college coaches are knowing who we are and what we do. Now, this college coach knows who Evan Mendoza is. Now, he might not have clicked perfect game. He might not have clicked the video, but now he's at least put a face to the name. Very, very important, right? So that person opened, these people clicked, this person responded, right? This person bounced, right? And by doing this over and over again, what this student was able to create is a list of follow-up emails that he's going to not necessarily hound, but stay in touch with. So that's where a lot of the money, and quite literally money. I'm not just saying like for the phrase. That's not where just the money is. That's where scholarship money is, guys. I can't stress that enough. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that. With everything that I'm sharing with you guys, right? And I already know a lot of you guys have already probably thought of this. Oh, well, I'm just going to go ahead and input all of this information, into my email template and then just click send without the outreaching system in place. And where you absolutely can do that is what you're not receiving on the tail end. And that's where the system really is a system, right? This is where we need to grab this type of information on when the email was sent, if it was even open, because this is going to dictate how we communicate with these college coaches after they've engaged with our emails, right? So on January, 16th of 2024, this email was opened. This email was clicked at 6 p.m. Eastern on that same day. This one was at 10:21 on the 17th, right? How we use this information, especially for my higher strategy with my students on the inside of my academy, that is the difference maker between, again, the top 5% of high school baseball players and the top 1%, because they care and they're very meticulous as far as these tiny little details. They're always striving for more. I just had a student call, and he was really concerned that he was missing out on some small detail. And I said, homie, that's totally normal, right? That you want these small little details because you're always searching for more. And that's a competitive mindset, right? So if you're okay with kind of just blasting these emails and them getting lost in the void, which will happen, that's totally fine. You're just going to be neglecting more than half of it, that the other 90% that actually moves the needle now. So that's what our tracking system looks like inside the Triple Play system. In episode 7, I want you guys to keep watching, because if you want us to guide you, that's going to be what we're talking about.